Hi everyone, it's Butzek, downtown Vancouver Realtor. For today's video blog, I want to give you a market update, and I'm going to go over some of the April numbers. And what I'm going to do is share with you this report I got from a chief economist at CIBC Bank, Benjamin Tal. And we'll run through that together, and I'll share with you some of my commentary on it. Okay, first thing, sales numbers. In the downtown peninsula, condo sales numbers were down 61% in April. No big surprise. I think we were all expecting that, especially those first 2 weeks were very slow. Price down 1%. So prices are holding steady, and I think that's because we're we've hit the pause button. It really feels like we're in a frozen market to a degree. That was early April. We've now moved into March, and in early May, and things have picked up. Okay, and I can tell you personally that things have picked up because I've got a couple of clients, and we have an accepted offer on a great 2-bedroom in Burnaby, just north of Central Park. I think we've got a really good deal there. One of the few 2 bedrooms listed under 600,000 in Burnaby. So it was only on the market for about 10 days. We got in there pretty quick and negotiated something, an agreement, an accepted offer as it's called. And of course, we still got to run through with finalizing the reading of the strata documents, doing our inspection, and so on. But the point is, if it's priced right, there are a few homes out there like that. You still have to be quick to get in there and get the seller to agree. In terms of other numbers, detached homes, west side, east side, actually we saw the prices, we saw sales drop for both, right? Roughly 60%. Prices were down 8% in Vancouver West. They were up 2% on the east side for detached homes. So I think, again, fairly stable right now. The honest answer here is it's just too early to tell how this is going to play out. Okay, I mean, we're going to have less sales numbers, but if we have a lot less listings too, they sort of cancel each other out. Okay, and I think that's what we're seeing right now. My experience is I'm getting more inquiries from past clients and from referrals. Also, other realtors I'm talking to right now in my office or other brokerages are reporting an increase in activity. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I will be updating you as we go through the rest of the spring and into the summer. Now, let's go ahead and jump into this report by this chief economist at CIBC. I think there's some good numbers in here and some good intel for us to take away. And he basically starts off this report saying that the market right now is in this sort of frozen condition, and we just touched on that. I think that's a fair assessment based on the decrease in sales numbers. An interesting point, he says, a lot of people are expecting a V-shaped recovery, right? That's when the market tanks. You see this in the stock market. It drops 30% and then it rebounds very quickly. We actually saw that in the stock market. What this economist, Benjamin Tal here is saying that is actually he thinks it's going to be a lot slower. And I think there's some validity to this point of view. Sam Zell, the famous American real estate developer, he was on CNBC a couple of weeks ago saying pretty much the same thing. And if you think about it, think about these industries that have been affected by the virus. I mean, casinos, hospitality, the airline industry especially. I mean, think about the airline industry. That's an industry where, I mean, if you can't sell the middle seat, how many of these airlines are going to be able to survive and continue? Ryanair, one of the discount airlines in Europe, has already said that if they can't sell that middle seat, they can't go on doing business. So that's going to affect them. We don't know how many thousands of people they employ in Europe. Also, hotels. Not only are they going to be able to open for business, but what's the cost of opening for business? And you can imagine the overhead, the amount of debt that a lot of companies may have. It might be worth it, and you may read about this too. It might be better for a lot of businesses to just not reopen. And this is why we might see a long V-shaped recovery rather than just springing back to the way things were before. It might take 2 to 4 years, according to some of these guys. So something to think about. Let's move on. A couple other points here he mentions with respect to the vaccine. Of course, if we got a vaccine, this would make probably help us get back to a normal state as we knew it before. But we don't know when we'll get that vaccine, right? It might be 6 months from now. It might be a year from now. I read one report that said the earliest we would probably have one would be next January. But then they still have to roll out the production of it, which could take many more months. So long way to go. Another factor here to think about, we might go through a second wave of the virus. If you recall, back in 2003 and 2004, we had SARS. And SARS came and hit us in sort of March, April. And once the weather got warmer, it went away, and then it came back. We had the second wave in September. Now, SARS was not as contagious as this one is. So, a second wave here is good. It's going to have the same impact. You're going to have to. We might see closures again, restaurants closing. None of this being able to open to the public. And so this economist, he gets into a few more issues here in terms of trying to predict the prices. He thinks that we would, 2021 would still be fairly slow. We would see sort of a recessionary prices, so meaning actually that they come down. Again, I don't know. We haven't seen that yet so far. I will update you on that as we go through it. And he believes we'll see a recovery in 2022. Well, we don't know. We will just have to find out. And okay, now a couple other points I liked here. He mentioned that the rental market is going to be soft, and that is true. We probably will see higher vacancy rates. I can tell you just anecdotally, two little stories here. One, we're having a lot more trouble renting out our 2-bedroom condo in North Burnaby. When we had first rented it out in the summer of 2018, it was gone like that and at a very good price. Now, not so much. It's taking a lot of effort to find that right person or the right couple to rent it out. And looks like we might even have to reduce the rent on it too. I've also heard the same thing talking to colleagues in Gastown. I was talking to a realtor on Sunday, and she mentioned to me that a furnished 2-bedroom in Gastown, which could have rented for $4,200 6 months ago, now they're looking at $3,200. Huge gap. So the rental market is going to be soft. Vacancy rates will go up. There's no question about that. If you are a owner, you're just going to have to deal with that. Maybe you can work something out if you have tenants right now, and if they're working, keep them in there. Work something out. I think that's probably your best bet. And I think we're going to leave it there. I just thought there was a couple of good points. The last one, actually, I'll just throw one more in there. He mentions that we have about 350,000 immigrants move to Canada every year, and 100,000, who will work on, who are permanent residents. So that's 450,000. That's about 1%, little less than that, of our population. And those people are not coming here right now. And that is also contributing to rental vacancy. So that's a really, really good point. And that is one that I've always mentioned to my clients when we talk about buying a home and when we look at long-term prices here in Vancouver, I always point to the numbers. And one of the numbers is, up until we hit the pause button here, is that you had 30 to 40,000 people moving into the Vancouver area every year. You can just imagine, with all those people moving into basement suites, into apartments, into rental condos, that contributed to the lack of vacancy and skyrocketing prices, right? And we didn't have much supply coming online. With those people not coming here now, obviously that's going to contribute to more vacancy. So hopefully we're going to get this thing back on track. Like everybody else, I'm cheering for this, for the economy to get turned around, and also cheering just for that we get a vaccine and we can go on and people will be healthy and we can lead the normal lives that we were used to. Guys, thanks very much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.